are you doing today, Baz?
Today is running 220 volt cable forward to the Princess Suite, which basically means ripping up all of the soul of ABC and running this 3-core mains cable through the boat. The hard part, I think, is over. All I got to do is just get this routed through underneath all that lot to the connection over there by the nav station. Because basically what happens when we want to watch TV in the Princess Suite at night, we have to run orange extension cable from the nav station 220 socket all the way around here, through here, over the door lid, in there, and then plug it all in, and it just becomes tiresome when you do it every night. And also, it's actually a trip hazard. So we don't want that on board. I was meant to go scuba diving today to clean a friend's hull and check his anodes, but I've got a snotty nose, a sore throat, and I'm sneezing like Sneezy the dwarf from Snow White. And I just thought, well, if I'm not going scuba diving, might as well hook into a job that I didn't want to do. So starting from the top, up here we've got a 3-connector power board. That hole was already there, brilliant, went down perfectly. I had to drill a hole in here which is pretty tight. I want to try and keep all these things as tight as possible, so I drilled a hole in there. Then down at the bottom there was already a little hole which came through to a little inspection hatch under here, so I was able to get that off and pull it through, and it came out of a big hole just underneath there. I don't know if you can see it. And the rest should be fairly easy from here on out because we've got a lot of cables and trunking already running through this section of the boat underneath the sole. So it's just a question of following them and cable tying off at lengths so that everything is nice and tight and doesn't move around. So I reckon should be job finished in about another hour or so.
While Baz has got the boat upside down inside, I've got the inside of the boat upside down outside, because I'm cleaning all of the seat cushions. These are ones I've already done. This is one in progress. This one's waiting to be done. And I've still got some inside. Hopefully we'll both finish our jobs around about the same time and we can stop for lunch together. That'd be cool.
A quick side note here, on a recent shopping trip to the hardware store, we bought a couple of big springs. And we've actually deployed one of them. We're still waiting for some bolt cutters to get the chain to deploy the second one for when we're tying up stern to in harbours and marinas. A few days ago when I opened up this aft head window, I noticed that the little O-ring that lives in the locking mechanism is deteriorated, it's split and it's actually separating. And I figured that if that one is buggered, then the rest of the ones on the boat will be buggered. We did have a little bit of a walk around town to the hardware store and the chandlers at the marina, but neither of those places could supply the O-rings of the size we wanted. So we went to our trusty mechanical helper Iden, and he said, yep, no problem, I'll get 30 of them for you. So what my job is today is to lubricate the O-rings with silicone spray and then replace all of the O-rings in all of the fittings on all of the windows. The O-rings are only in these side windows, they're not in the deck hatches, so they don't need to be done. And it should be a relatively easy and quick job, but you know how that sort of thing works out on a boat. Let's get to it. These latches are a very simple design. All you got to do is get your screwdriver in, undo the screw, separate the inside half from the outside half. They have a little sticky out bit in there and a little groove in there, and that's how they go back together. And so we'll just remove this old O-ring, which is, you know, very visually misshapen. I certainly wouldn't be using that in one of my scuba tanks, and place the silicone treated O-ring onto here all the way to the bottom. Pop that through, find out where the groove is, find out where the notch is, put the two back together. it's as simple as that. Hopefully it should be as simple as that on all the other windows around the boat, because I think the rain's coming in and I want to get it done before the rain falls. One of the things I've just noticed taking these off the windows is the ones that are directly in the sunlight and the ones that are not in the sunlight, and you can see there's a great difference in their appearance. So in order to get more life, or a little bit longer life out of them, I'm going to put these ones that have been shaded in the position of the ones that have been directly in the sun for a longer time. Here's a sample of some of the O-rings we pulled off the window fittings. Obviously this one's very broken. A lot of them have little bits hanging off them, and I'm not sure if this camera's clever enough to pick up the detail, but a lot of them are very misshapen on one side and worn. So it's a good job that we replaced them. I'm also glad that we swapped out the window fittings for the ones that were not so sun damaged for the ones that were quite sun damaged. So quite an easy job. Glad I did it. Another one to tick off the list. Well, it's taken pretty much most of the day, but the boat is now back together and shipshape, and the electrical work is finished. We've mounted a 3-socket electrical outlet here for 240 volts, which is where we plug the monitor in and also where we'll plug the computer in, and there's a spare one just in case we want to plug a hard drive in or something. So that's all now wired through underneath the sole of the cabin. Glad that's out of the way because we don't have to run the extension cable anymore. While we had all of this out, Ansha took all of the seat cushions and backs upstairs into the cockpit and wiped them all down with a nice soapy warm water mix, and they look absolutely spiffy. Over here where all of our electrical cables used to sit, we've now got them all wired into a 6-gang outlet here. Again, 240, 220. There's not much you can do really about cables except try and tie them up as much as possible. But again, we don't want the weight of the power bricks hanging off the end of the socket that plugs into the side of the laptops. So we have the weight of those down on the floor. And basically what I've done is I've brought it all back to here, which was fitted by the solar guy. Obviously the nav station is still a bit of a mess because we're still doing lots of jobs around the boat, and we decided that phone charging, battery charging and the wireless internet dongle should all live up here because it's just easier to swap things in and out rather than try and hook underneath the table and plug things into there. All in all, a good day's work. Ansha's now in the galley preparing sandwiches for lunch, although it's probably way after lunch. Yes, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're going to stop now, and I'm going to blow my nose because I'm all stuffy. Been a good day. Achieved a lot. I'm going to cross things off my to-do list now. That makes me happy. It's our last day of the car hire, and we've just travelled about an hour north of Cash, and we are at an ancient Roman site called Letoon. It's not very big, so it shouldn't take us too long to have a wander around. And this place has actually got what I wished they'd had at Patara, kind of like a scale model of the area. There's the standard amphitheatre. Amphitheatre. The Romans did like their amphitheatres, didn't they?
It was a great way to talk to everyone, wasn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. So this place is quite well organised, and it's just 10 lira per person to get in, which is
20, so it's $5 altogether.
$5, yeah. So it's $2.50 each.
Yeah.
Which is, reasonable value.
Mm.
Wow. Imagine coming in here and thousands of people just sitting here, all waiting for the games to begin. They just carved the stairs out of a solid piece of rock.
Wow. Yeah, and all of this is it's all been carved out of the same piece.
So you think this is actually the bedrock of the hill that it's set into? There's no seams up there. Yeah?
I know, I was reading it, part of the hill was used as a stone quarry, so it may well be that...
Right.
Yeah. Do you start at the top or the bottom? So condensing down what the sign says here about the amphitheatre, it was built in the 2nd century BC and has a seating capacity of 7,800,
That would put the general population in the area around here to be approximately 25,000 people. So it was quite a big settlement, Roman settlement. And yes, what we saw up there with one big piece of rock was actually, it is the bedrock, and they've cut out the shapes from the bedrock, and the bits they've cut out, they've actually used that to build other sections of the amphitheatre. Good thinking, smart thinking. Not sure that this camera will adequately display the vast space here and how big these buildings were, but Anne's just now standing over there. This part here was a big temple with lots of columns. Sadly, a lot of it was damaged during the earthquakes during the Roman period, and again, all the bits and pieces are laid out for reconstruction at some point when time and money allows. This is an interesting little thing. Look at this. Carved into the step of the temple is a checkerboard pattern. So I'm imagining that people used to sit here and play some sort of game on this checkerboard. Alright, well, the rain has held off, which is great. It's very chilly though. My hands are feeling like icicles. So it's time to get back into the car and head back home, where Ansha will warm up with a coffee, no doubt, and I will be very brave and have a beer. Cold beer, of course.
You're in that case.
I think I'm going to put my bear suit on when I get home.
Oh gosh. Good thing you weren't wearing that when we went up the mountain and discovered that bear print, isn't it?
It's a good job. Could have ended disastrously for me. This is an olive tree, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's olives. Here you go.
Right.
Olives.
Oh.
You like olives?
Yeah, I'm not going to eat them like that.
Why?
I'll sort of process them.
What do you mean, process them? I don't like olives.
They're not bitter?
Yes, they are. Oh my goodness.
You got to process them like
Ah. Ah. Okay, won't be doing that again. Next week on Sailing ABC, we show you the whole process of how they take the gullets out of the water in the harbour and put them up on the hard for repairs and renovations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, it really does help. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified of future video releases from Sailing ABC. Thanks for watching.